Welcome to ACD Combatives, your combatives and control tactics channel. Please like, subscribe, and share. Hey guys, this is Kurt. So, something that's on my mind, and this stems from multiple conversations I've had recently with everybody from other patrol officers to management, supervisors. So I definitely get this from old timers, people that have been in the career for a while, especially with my department. So, again, keeping everything extremely generic, as this YouTube channel is, I have to follow agency policy as far as social media. I think most departments have that ruling or some variation thereof. But I think everybody can benefit from this, but this is specifically for my department. Our use of force policy is case law driven. What do I mean by that? It's case law driven, and the Supreme Court has rulings: Graham v. Connor, Scott v. Harris, Tennessee v. Gardner. And you guys should know those because I've been bringing them up on the channel. And if you're with my agency, you've had that stuff pounded in your head since the academy. Hence the beginning of the problem. The academy. So it doesn't matter, this is where it's generic, it doesn't matter what academy you go to. They're going to teach you some control tactic techniques and some ninja moves and some fuzzy wuzzies or whatever they do, like this wrist lock followed by kung fu grip followed by hammer fist to the noggin or whatever. You guys, I'm teasing, but you know what I'm saying. They follow some kind of organized plan.
Question: what kind of bear is best?
That's a ridiculous question.
False. Black bear.
Well, that's debatable. There are basically two schools of thought.
Fact. Bears eat beets.
Oh.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
Bears do not... What is going on? What are you doing?
As far as we're going to teach these group of techniques, because they have to grade you on something. So they pull these techniques out of their head. I was going to say ass, but you know what I mean. And sometimes they're good techniques, and sometimes they're okay techniques. Most academies are going to some kind of MMA, Krav Maga, Jiu-Jitsu based system, which is great. You know that I push that. That's what I push on my channel.
Logical.
A lot of times they water them down like crazy, because they have 18 to 25 weeks, depending on your academy, to teach you these techniques along with everything else they have to teach you about being a cop. So they keep them pretty generic. That being said, we go back to the case law, Graham v. Connor. What is reasonably objective? So where am I going with this? I've been at control tactic sessions, or I've put something up on my channel, and they're like, well, we didn't learn that at the academy. I was like, well, you kind of did, but you don't think you did, but because you don't know what you don't know because you don't train regularly. But if I have 5 cops that I'm teaching control tactics to, I'm teaching them a technique. Let's say it is some kind of takedown. It doesn't matter. I'm going to be showing the same technique to 5 different cops. If you're a patrol tactics instructor that doesn't train a lot yourself, then you're going to show it the generic way, and that is not necessarily good.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Because you've got 5 officers, and they're all different size, weights, heights, shapes, sizes, whatever. Down from like a 5'2", 5'3" female to somebody who's maybe 6'4". and 200 pounds. So obviously, you're going to have to show some things differently to the 5'3" female that you would show the 6'4" officer. If you don't see that, then I suggest you watch my channel more. Listen, there's concepts in a technique, and it's like basically natural law. You have to follow certain concepts. If you do not, like, for example, when you take somebody down, you have to off-balance them first before you can take their balance. It doesn't matter how you do that. There's 1,000 different types of throws and takedowns in martial arts. But all of them require you to off balance somebody or take their balance. In Japanese, take their kazushi, and then take them down or throw them. So I can show you a technique that looks different, but it's pretty much the same concept, the same driving factors. And then someone will say, well, that's not the way I was shown at the academy. Well, no, because they threw a bunch of generic stuff at you. Regardless if you were shown something at the academy or not, you're not stuck in that workshop. You don't have to only use the techniques you learned at the academy. That is why we have case law. Scott v. Harris is a good example, but Graham v. Connor is the ring that rules all rings. It's the master case law. That's the umbrella. And what does it say? It says, what is reasonably objective?
I want to know what the hell is going on.
You can't judge somebody on 20/20 hindsight. Was it reasonably objective use of force? It doesn't have to be the greatest choice. You don't have to be the worst choice. It just needs to be a reasonable choice. And my reasonable is going to look different from your reasonable to the next person and the next person, the next person, and so on. But what has to be is it can't be excessive, right? Okay, we've got that. So reasonable means reasonable. It doesn't mean that you can only use these codified techniques. That being said, if you train with me during a control tactics session at the academy, you mostly learned escaping mount, escaping somebody's guard, maybe getting out of side control from various levels of difficulty. I remember going to the academy and they taught those things, and I know that they're still teaching them. So I'm going to expand on that stuff, especially if I can fit it into the session. And again, I try to keep things concept driven. What does that mean? If I show you 20 techniques, you're not going to remember 90% of them. I try to show you 3 or 4 concepts based on the techniques that we regularly train on in our control tactic sessions. And that's why I have the channel, is to expand on that stuff. And hopefully somebody sees it and decides, I'm going to train some more than I have to. I'm going to go find a local MMA school. I'm going to find a local Krav school. I'm going to try jiu-jitsu or judo on for size. That's my goal.
I prefer not to hit a woman, so please play.
So what is the meaning and the purpose of this video? Guys, if it just because you didn't learn it at the academy, again, I've heard this from so many, well, can I do that? I didn't learn that at the academy. Yes, the Supreme Court's already told you you can. So why are you asking me this? I'm sorry. I'm emotional about this stuff.
Attention everyone, hello. Yes, I just want you to know that this is not my decision, but from here on out, we can no longer be friends.
It's frustrating when I hear it from seasoned officers, and even command staff sometimes have brought up, well, I don't know if that's something we can do because, the academy doesn't teach that. It's not that the academy does or does not teach it. They teach a variation of it, but it's extremely watered down because they have a timeline they have to follow and they have to put something on the block to teach. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about anything I just said, please contact me. Again, Graham v. Connor, was it reasonably objective? And I'm not going to go off the rails too far. I'm not going to show you how to use a sledgehammer for law enforcement.
Are you insane?
I'm not going to do anything silly like that. But the Supreme Court, in all its wisdom, got it right. They said, listen, as long as it's reasonably objective, that you did whatever you did. It doesn't mean that, you didn't learn how to do that at the academy. They understand that every officer's different and every situation is different. So they made a case law that made a lot of sense. And sometimes I'm so surprised how good that case law is, because sometimes we get bit in the butt by case law and sometimes we don't. Graham v. Connor is a perfect example of, in my mind, the Supreme Court getting it absolutely correct. It was reasonably objective. The technique was reasonable. Everything you did was reasonable. It doesn't say this officer didn't use a technique that he didn't learn at the academy. And then if you're like me, you've been to multiple friggin' academies. It's in your wheelhouse. You've trained this particular technique at one academy, but they don't show it at the other. Guys, don't get hung up in the minutia of it. Just, if it makes sense and it follows the case law, i.e. Graham v. Connor, you're golden. So I hope I nailed that point home. I want everybody to stay safe and take care.
Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out.
And share.